Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Dave's Podcast along with a new video. I want to thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, viewing, watching, and listening. I truly appreciate it. I want to continue to provide and give you all new episodes, free episodes as much as possible, along with exclusive content that is on Spotify and Patreon. So we will definitely be making sure we continue with everything that we're already doing. Don't you worry about that. Today we are going to talk about B7 by Brandy. B7 is the seventh studio album by American singer Brandy. It was released on July 31st, 2020 through her own record label, Brand New Incorporated. Okay, that's her imprint. Now, didn't I tell y'all? And now a few videos I've been saying, it's okay to be independent. You don't have to have a label support you. Distribution wise, I mean, it can go that way, but other than that, you know, you I wouldn't even say distribution wise. Even if you go out there and you just put out copies yourself, just ship them out yourself. Okay, yeah, and E1 Music. Her first studio album since 2012. The album features production from Daryl Camper Jr. and LaShawn Daniels, among others. B7 is an R&B album exploring themes such as self-love, too much, I don't know how to say it. Tumultuous. Yes, okay, I got it. Romantic relationships, mental health, and single motherhood. The album received generally positive reviews from critics who praised the album's authenticity and cohesiveness, as well as Norwood's vocals. B7 debuted at number 12 on the US Billboard 200 chart, earning 25,000 album equivalent units in its first week. The album and its songs were nominated for various awards, including a Grammy Award. It spawned two singles, Baby Mama and Borderline. Furthermore, No Tomorrow Part 2 featuring Ty Dolla $ign. A remix of the album track, No Tomorrow, was also released in promotion of the album. Yeah, so this was within the pandemic at the time. Of course, it was recorded from 2018 up until 2020. It's more than 45 minutes long. There was 3 singles. Love Again, July 5th, 2019. That's the first single. So yeah, there was already a single that we didn't even know was a single for an album. And that usually happens sometimes. Artists will do that where it's just like, all right, let's give them a single. But they won't know that an album may be nearby. We'll make sure that they do know when it's time. And then number 2 is Baby Mama, May 1st, 2020. Borderline, July 31st, 2020. So Borderline pretty much came out as a single when the album came out, which is great because you give your fans a visual among visuals that you want to do throughout the era, which is great. It's a great deal. No Tomorrow was released as far as a single on October 14th, 2020. B7 is Brandy's first independent release on her own record label, Brand New Incorporated, in partnership with E1. During an interview with the HuffPost's Taryn Finley, Brandy said she was letting her authentic experiences inform her music. Despite feeling vulnerable and in relation to the global COVID-19 pandemic, Brandy said it all aligned. I didn't plan it like this, but it just happened to fall in the same place, so I'm happy about that. When asked to elaborate on why the time was right for new music, Brandy said, well, I felt like I'm in a great place in my music. I feel very strong about my music, confident about where I am with it. I believe in it, and I just feel like this was the time. Describing the album as authentic and her most personal to date, Brandy said that fans could expect her entire heart on the album, with themes of love and heartache and coming into her own and finding her own self-love. Yeah. Brandy can be heard referring to her mentor, Whitney Houston, as the GO, a common acronym attributed to singer Houston, meaning the greatest of all time. that's in one of the songs that she has on the album. Yeah, so, you know, this album, based on chart placement and just based on a lot that was going on, I just wish there was more for it. Because it is a great album. It is a good album. Yeah, she was on Good Morning America, and um, you know, she also was doing a verses with Monica at the time, like literally within a month's time of the album being released. Um, you know, there was only so much she was able to do because of such a time. But, you know, this album is really credited for when it was you know, released, and just for the sake that, um, you know, when it came to her previous albums, we would hear Brandy and hear how she would transition from one time in her life to another. And this particular time had set a lot of artists in a place where they just had to really kind of look back and really reclaim a bit of themselves. And this was Brandy's testament, if anything. Um, yeah, B7 was met with generally positive reviews at Metacritic, which assigns a normalized rating out of 100 to reviews from professional critics. The album received an average score of 78 based on 6 reviews. So 78 with 6 reviews would mean that it could get higher or it could go lower. Based on the sense of where the ratings for other publications and reviews are from, it seems as though it could go slightly higher. So she could possibly have an 80 with 21 reviews. You know what I mean? Or it could be a 76 with 29 reviews. You know, it could go either way. But all in all, this is a good album. Yes. But yes, as far as the album was the highest debut of the week and Brandy's 8th Billboard 200 chart entry. The album also debuted at number 9 on the U.S. top R&B hip-hop albums, becoming her 7th top 10 album on the chart. Additionally, B7 debuted at number 1 on the U.S. independent albums chart. So she did have a number 1. It just was under the independent albums chart. And that's the thing. You can still be recognized in other areas, different areas, and people can still appreciate you. I know that, you know, the sky's the limit and you want to reach for the stars, but then you say to yourself, well, you know what? When you have just those few people that really appreciate me, it means a lot. Okay. So yes, let's get into the track list. So track 1, Saving All My Love. Track 2, Unconditional Oceans. Track 3, Rather Be. Track 4, All My Life, Part 1. Track 5, Lucid Dreams. Track 6, Borderline. Track 7, No Tomorrow. Track 8, Say Something. So by track 8, I'm pretty much just wow. Like, it's been a while since, you know, we've heard Brandy, you know, 8 years from, you know, 211. And even when you look at it being 2020, this is more than 20 years into her career. 26, if I should be able to be exact. You know, because you know, I was already, you know, born when her self-titled came out. So, Brandy been in the game for more than 30 years now. So it's like, this was a testament to let people know, like, I'm still around. We just in a weird time, but I'm still around, you know? And as far as with Borderline, No Tomorrow, and Say Something, like that transition, those 3 songs back to back. Lucid Dreams too, yes. Before those 3 tracks. It's just, it's just something, the way it just kind of goes. She wanted to make sure this was an album that had no skips, like you just listen right through. Um, as far as track 9, All My Life Part 2. So, All My Life, there's 3 parts, which you get to the third part near the end of the album. And it's not that I don't love these parts. Brandy has done this with her first album, with I Dedicate. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why do you give us these interludes that should just be whole songs? And based on All My Life, where she finally lets us know they possibly were all songs and cut into parts. So I just be just like with people that have interludes where it's not cut into parts, it's just more or less a verse and then it's just kind of done. It's like, here's the best example. We know that James Joint, Happy Birthday Rihanna, we know that James Joint is a song. It gives interlude to in some ways. But a part of me sometimes wishes there was like one more verse to kind of end the song, maybe. You know, like maybe there was just one more verse that we could hear to kind of, I don't know. But then I say to myself, no, I wouldn't like if James Joint was cut in half, where it was just like James Joint part 1 and then have part 2 like near the end of the album. Just imagine if James Joint was like cut in half and you just kind of had it at the end. You never know. But similar to this, that's kind of what it was with All My Life. Track 10, I Am More. Track 11, High Heels with Sarah. I love the fact that she has a very special bond with her daughter. I think that's amazing. And then track 12, Baby Mama, featuring Chance the Rapper. Track 13, All My Life Part 3. So this is when All My Life pretty much closes. But yeah, I mean, I would love to hear the demo to All My Life. Not even the, well, I mean, I feel like, you know, there's probably pieces of it out there right now because you know people. But I'd love to hear the whole song. You know, maybe we could get a cute deluxe to some of these albums. All these artists need to put out some deluxe editions. Why not? You know, you never know what songs that we probably would have loved if it was still at that time able to be out, because you know there do be a limit on how much can be released at a time, because you know you got to promote and stuff. But yes, track 14 is Love Again with Daniel Caesar, and then track 15 is Bye Bipolar. But yes, you guys, this was a very experimental album for her, and for her to really kind of dive into music in a way where she would know from this album there's nothing that she needs to worry about. She can be able to, you know, do more movies, which she did, do more shows, which she did. You know, there's a lot more that any artist or anyone can be able to do, and it doesn't have to be when someone says so. But there is a way that you can be able to have those that support you and love you for all of what you do be able to be aware, because when there's support, there's growth, and when there's growth, there's appreciation. Oh, well, of course, when people actually utilize the appreciation. You know, there's people that don't appreciate. It's like, nah, let me stop. But besides the point, B7 is definitely an album that I feel like you guys should appreciate, because, like I said, she's been in the game for more than 30 years now, and just she's done so much, just like a lot of her peers have done a lot too, that don't always get recognized. So, and we will talk about a lot of them. Yes, we will. So I thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and I'll be back with more.